Okay, I'm back, and I'm going to give further details on the latest films I've seen at the Philadelphia Film Festival. Since the last video, I've seen three films, and I just want to go over them right now. First film we're going to talk about is Lore. Lore, um, saw that on the 21st of October, and on the 21st, I actually saw two films. So Lore was the first one I saw earlier in the day. And Lore is a film from Germany and takes place at the tail end of World War II. And you have a group of children who are trying to travel through occupied Germany. Germany has lost the war, and they're trying to get to Hamburg, where they have relatives. And along the way, they receive the assistance of a guy who is presumably, I can't even speak here, presumably a survivor of the death camps. And that's basically it. It's a decent film, decent period piece. There's a lot of films that have been created and recently that show different angles on the Nazi Holocaust of the Jews, and this one shows a totally different angle because it gives you a little twist near the end where I'm not sure what they present at the end is that that's the true narrative or not. It was a little confusing to me. Well, not really that confusing. I mean, it doesn't really affect how I viewed the film. I thought the film was okay. You know, it was a decent view. And, on a 1 to 10, I would give it a solid 7. The second film I saw that day on the 21st was the evening film. It's the Central Park 5. And the Central Park 5 really left me shaken. You know, I remember the events of the Central Park 5 slightly. The thing is, I'm like the same age of these guys. So if I was a kid in Harlem, who knows? That could have been me. If I was with those group of guys in the Central Park. You know, the basic way I was as a kid, I probably wouldn't have been with those guys. But those were average kids. I'm not average. But those kids in that film were extremely average kids. And they just got caught up in an event that was a lot bigger than them. And people who were looking to blame somebody for that event. It's the famous Central Park uh, rape case, which really created national attention. Who knows, might probably international as well. And it really was seen as an example of New Yorkers how their city was spiraling out of control, and someone needs to be punished for this. And these kids who just happened to be in the park, that punishment fell on directly on them. And it's a sad film because there was enough evidence at the time to show that these kids were not involved. Were not involved directly. Even if you thought they were indirectly involved, you know that these were not the perpetrators. There was enough evidence of that out there. And the fact that that evidence wasn't acted upon is something that is very scary. And it really struck a chord with me because, you know, as someone at the same age of these guys, same generation, someone who still feels they're a young African American male, you know, many people have been in situations where, with a slightly different change of events, they could have gotten in some serious trouble. Even if they weren't directly involved or didn't directly do anything wrong, with a slightly different chain of events, it could have gone really poor. And, an event happened to me that was nothing like this. And I might go into detail on that event in another video. But, every African American male in this country has had that one incident where they ran into an authority figure who accused them of doing something that they had no involvement in. And probably a lot of people of all ethnic groups can have experienced that. Um, there's unique experiences of different people and different groups based on their own unique circumstances, but we've all been on the tail end of being accused of something you didn't do. And depending how serious that is, it can have really damaging consequences. And these people, they're not children anymore, they're grown men. And I mean, that's another thing about it. These guys. They were 14, 15, 16, and the police force were coming down on them hard. It's just really disgusting when you watch the film. And since it's the Ken Burns directed film, I would imagine at some point it's going to be released on PBS. And I think this is a film that needs to be seen by a large number of people. And for good reason. I mean, I think people should get the correct lessons from this film. Not something to point fingers, but look how something we can grow as a culture and improve upon. So we're not always looking at other people within our family. I mean, we're all one country as the enemy. We have to be on the same team and work together. But it's a great film, and if you get a chance to see the Central Park Five, I definitely would recommend it. And I think, like I said, I think a lot of people are going to get a chance to see this film. The next film that I saw was yesterday, and I'm not going to go into detail on this one. It was Something in the Air, and the reason why I'm not going to go into detail with it because I saw this in the New York Film Festival, and I've already talked about it. And and like any film, when you see it a second time, it's not as strong as the first time, often. So you know everything that's happening. So it's still a very good film, and I think this film will get a wider release, as I mentioned in the previous video. So a lot of you guys are going to get to see chance to see the film. Today, I didn't feel too well. I was going to see Cloud Atlas, and I have a ticket for it, but I'm not going to use it. And I'm not too broken up by that. I mean, the Philadelphia Film Festival in and of itself is such a great deal that if I don't, and it's been two films that I had tickets for that I haven't gone to see, but the deal was so good, I don't feel like I'm losing out that much. It's a great film, and hey, since I'm not there, there's available space for someone else. I think the film was almost sold out, so it's possible that it might be uh, it might sell out at the time of the film being shown this evening, and that's going to be in about an hour or so. So yeah, it's been a great festival. I still have about 4 films left, so I'm going to still go over those films as they happen. But thanks again. Peace.